Tell me what you even hear it. If I'm the only one listen. Can tell if it's make believe or I'm in a dream. Been here 1,000 times. Had me up until the morning. Calling her without a warning. Can tell if it's make believe or I'm in a dream. Have I lost my mind? 'Cause I'm holding on to the feeling, to the feeling. Even as the flames start to rise, sipping on the smoke with my head high. Heaven only knows I've been through hell and back tonight. Dancing through the tears in my eyes, ashes start to fall in distant skies. Take a deep breath again and then I realize I'm holding on.
Hello, hello. Grand
Hello.
rising to you, Mary Beth.
Grand Rising.
How are you this rising?
I am doing great. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing really well. I'm really looking forward to this space today as we talk about some topics that, I feel like are really big topics in the spiritual communities right now, as well as just in overall, holistic and healing approaches to life. And, there's a lot of things that get thrown out there, unconsciously, consciously, on autopilot. And I think it's going to be a wonderful space today to really address and just talk about, our views and our beliefs and our experiences when it comes to these different spiritual myths that we hear about in the mainstream world and the masses today. And welcome to everybody else that is tapped in as a viewer in the audience on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And my name is Marcus Christolight of Sacred Light Healing and Wellness. And then over here is my co-host,
Mary Beth Strutter with Day One Life Coaching.
And grand rising to you, Eduardo. Good to see
Hi,
you, brother.
Eduardo.
Good to see you. Eduardo is a traditional shaman from Peru.
Oh, I
that is in the
love it.
States that I've met. Yes, very good brother. And he does a lot of beautiful healings of the Peruvian tradition.
Nice. Welcome.
Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about spiritual myths, just as I said a moment ago. And these topics are going to be surrounding many different things, including our relationship with money,
Yes, that's a
our
good one.
relationship to healing. And then what are other topics that you're going to be touching on?
So, since I teach law of attraction, and I decided to teach law of attraction because of all the myths and misconceptions, I was like, somebody's got to get out there and straighten this out. And I love teaching it. So I would like to talk a lot about law of attraction myths and misconceptions, and why it's a big part of why people think, oh, the law of attraction doesn't work. It's literally because they're not using it properly, and they think it's something that actually the way I said it is weird. it's always happening, right? We're always manifesting. We don't turn it on or off. And I think that people need to realize too, that it's because of that, because we're always manifesting, it's really great to learn how to use it deliberately instead of letting life throw us around and using it by default. So it's always being applied. So let's learn how to do it right. That's what I want to talk about. The myths.
Yeah, I love that. You know, there's a lot of mainstream, a lot of misconceptions, a lot of mainstream propaganda, and a lot of other kind of capitalistic like things that go on when it comes to man and the law of attraction.
For sure.
But yeah, that's gonna be really great to talk about, because not only will you be talking about that, but I'll also be able to complement that with visually showing how our electromagnetic system functions as a human being and its relation to attraction and manifestation. So I really look forward to that.
That's a really good point, because I think a lot of people think it's a religion, or they'll think it's like not Christian, or they'll think it's evil or things like that. And it's just a universal law, like the universal law of gravity. We don't get to decide whether we're, I'm not going to apply gravity today. Today I'm going to be anti-gravity. It's nothing to do with religion, and it's actually, like you're going to talk about, I'm sure, is ancient esoteric wisdom that has been forgotten. Yeah, it wasn't called law of attraction back then, right? Back in the but that's what it's been marketed as, is law of attraction, the secret. But this is ancient wisdom that has been forgotten and even hidden from us to disempower us. So we're bringing it back, but not in a capitalistic way. Just, we want people to be empowered again. So I think that's,
that's right.
And remember,
giving people the tools.
Everything's energy. That's what it's based on. The fact that we are vibrational beings. That's a fact. It's actually quantum physics. It's science. But it does look magical, and it does look woo-woo to people who don't understand that we are vibrational and energetic beings. If they don't understand that we can manipulate energy, and that we have control over our frequency and over our day, it can look woo-woo and magical, but it's just because people don't understand. It's who we are. We're vibrational beings, and we want to learn how to manipulate our frequency and our energy, and have better outcomes in our day, and attract things that we want instead of things that we don't want throughout our day. Do that.
Absolutely. Could not agree more. So with that being said, if you want to keep it flowing and get going into the conversation, feel free.
Yeah, I took notes, so I didn't want to forget for certain things. First thing I think I'm going to say, though, off the top of my head, is that a lot of times when we think the law of attraction doesn't work for me, it works for other people, but not me. That's because we all have a different point of attraction. So everybody's different, and it's really based on our belief systems, our personal belief system. So that's going to be different for different people, because it's everything that we were taught from birth. All of our programming is going to be part of our personal belief system. And then also we're going to have a momentum. We're going to have a momentum on different subjects. So like, you could have a great momentum when it comes to money, like we're going to talk about later, money, attracting money, but a horrible relationship on other subjects, like let's talk about relationships actually as the other topic. You could have a really bad momentum because you had past toxic relationships and you don't have trust, and so you could be actually pushing away things based on that momentum. Momentum's another word for law of attraction. So there's our programming, our momentum on a specific subject, and then also how we feel right now. How is our current frequency? All of those things affect how we attract and manifest in our day. So that's why it's going to be different for different people, because like you can have a great momentum in one subject and then we need some work to do in a different subject. Like you could be great with attracting money and you could really have bad past programming and experiences when it comes to relationships, which would affect your ability to be able to attract what you desire in that topic. So basically we don't turn it on or off. We're always manifesting. And a lot of people think, oh, it's only for positive things. It's only for manifesting good things. But anything that we focus on, any attention we're giving to a certain subject, we are manifesting. So it's just really important to be mindful of this and to really pay attention to what is my daily focus? What is my focus minute to minute? Really, it matters. So it takes action. One of the myths is that it's just like we could say positive affirmations or sit on a meditation cushion and things are just going to flow to us. But that's not how it works at all. There is no law of attraction without action. We got to actually take action. And it's also a lot about how we feel. The way that we feel is really what's putting out that vibration into the world. That's our frequency that we need to tune into. So if we could sit there and say a positive affirmation, but if we don't feel it, if we don't have that mind and heart connection, there's going to be a wobble, because we could say something, but if we don't feel it and we don't believe it, we got to believe it's got to be within our personal belief system in order to attract. It really does. So that's why you're seeing different people with different outcomes, is because we all have different personal belief systems, right? So that's a big thing. And I think another myth that I really wanted to get into is from the Essenes, the 7 mirrors. Are you familiar with that, Marcus?
No, I'm not actually.
So one of the things that is super important, and I was tripped up on for years about this, it was like that little piece of law of attraction that it didn't make sense to me, and I couldn't figure out why. But because I used to be like, oh, well, we only attract what we are, right? But that's not true at all. We attract anything that we have an energetic spark with. So I used to have a really big energetic spark with narcissists, because I would judge them. So anything that we judge creates an energetic spark. So you want to be careful what you're judging and who you're judging, because that creates this energy, and they're going to show up. Exactly what you don't want is going to show up. If you judge something, you've got a spark, they're going to start lining up for you. So I had to go through like a judgment detox, because I kept recreating that same experience over and over again because I didn't get rid of my judgment. And so I would judge liars and I would judge cheaters. And I was like, why am I attracting this? I'm not a liar. I'm not a cheater. What the hell? And so I was attracting it because I was so judgy of it, because I had experienced it in my past. So I became real judgmental. And so I had to really go out of my way. And it's some work, you guys. There's some work on this journey. It's not like you just quit judging things overnight. Like it takes some really self-development and personal growth work before you can get to the point where you can just you will get to a point eventually where you stop judging and you have compassion actually for these people. Why do people feel the need to lie to you to get love, for instance? Like, we were all born a clean slate, and things happen to people. They're the way they are for a reason. So learning how to forgive is a huge part of the journey of learning how to be a better attractor in your daily life. Forgiveness, not judging, and that's of others and of ourselves too. We really need to forgive and love ourselves, and we will become better at attracting things that come to us in our life, our frequencies. So you can think of your frequency as a radio station. Like, the most simple way to think of it is, what station are you tuned into? And you're going to attract other people and circumstances, events, and things that are also tuned into that station. So if we're tuned into a station of judging and unforgiveness and hate, we're going to attract things like that, even though we aren't hateful, but we're focused on those people. So we're still going to attract it. And we see a lot of that going around today. There's a lot of division in the world. So we really have to go out of our way to pay attention to what we're focused on. You know, I don't watch the news. Some people might say that I hear the news I need to hear, but I know a lot of that stuff is programming. It's meant to, that's why it's called a television program. It's meant to program your mind, and the scary stuff, the fear-based stuff, that sells. And that's why that's going to be featured most of the time. So I don't fill my head with that stuff, because it's going to put me on a frequency that I don't want to be on for the day. I want to attract well. So if I'm sitting there focused on hate, division, politics, fear, war, child abuse, like all day, how is, and there's nothing I can do about it. I can't control this. How is that going to make how am I going to be tuned into a good frequency? I do think we should tune into things that offer us solutions. Okay. So if we're watching something informative that's solution based, I'm going to watch that one, right? Because they're giving me ways where I can help, where I can fix things. That's not the news. They're not solution based. They're just throwing out fear at you. Would you agree with that, Marcus? The fear based.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely something that disempowers us in our day, because the frequency of a problem and the frequency of the solution are completely opposite. So as long as you're focused on the problem too much, you are literally not capable of coming up with the solution. Like they're completely different frequencies. So we want to be more solution based. The basic, I should talk about the basic, because I know everybody who's watching this, not everyone even knows, like, the formula for law of attraction is ask plus believe equals receive. Okay. Very basic, but it's real complicated in between there, because we all have those different beliefs. And like I said earlier, we can only attract what's in our belief system. And the asking part kind of comes naturally just with life experience. We're always asking for new things, and we all experience contrast. Oh, that's a huge myth. That's a huge one. Okay, guys, like, you cannot high vibe your way out of contrast. Contrast happens to everyone. We're living in this 3D time-space reality where contrast is just a thing. And we can control our vibration, our frequency, our reaction to contrast. We can control our relationship to contrast. But I've never met anyone who can vibrate out of something negative happening, because pets die, our parents die, family members die. We can't control certain things. We're going to die. We're going to get sick sometimes. Things happen in life. Life's going to throw us curveballs, right? So we cannot high vibe enough to just be like, oh, I don't have any more contrast. We're actually here to experience contrast. That's part of spiritual growth. That's how we learn, and that's okay. So don't beat yourself up if something in your life happens that you don't desire. But what we can do is control how are we reacting. Our relationship to the contrast is really what changes. But no, nobody's like high vibing enough where, like, I mean, I know some of the most high vibing people who've had miscarriages. Like, that's not something they wanted. They didn't attract it. It might have been part of their soul contract. And that's a whole nother soul contracts. That's a different episode, probably. That's pretty deep. But yeah, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know everything that we signed up for in this incarnation, what we're supposed to be experiencing for our spiritual evolution, our growth. So just because we experience some contrast in our day doesn't mean we did something wrong. So that's a huge myth I like to dispel, because that one can, people can beat themselves up, I think, if they feel like, well, why did I attract this, And it could be various reasons, but it doesn't mean you did something wrong. It could even be like, we can't control other people's vibrations. So maybe somebody else's vibration who's close to you, and we can't fix it. We can only control ourselves, our own vibration. So, but what we can do is help with our subconscious patterns each day, be really mindful, get out of autopilot. Most of us are living on autopilot, thinking the same thoughts, feeling the same feelings as the day before. And then we wonder why we haven't changed. We're living on subconscious programming instead of being conscious creators. So I think that's what Marcus and I want to help people is be conscious creators, be aware of what you're doing and mindful of your thoughts, of your focus. Focus is so important. And then you're going to start to attract better just once you start to change that momentum that you have and change your point of attraction. We can change that. It's something we do every day. It's not just about, it's kind of like working out. You don't work out and be like, okay, I got my perfect body now, I'm done. It's maintenance. You do it every single day, to maintain that frequency, to maintain that body. This is stuff that, I know Marcus has a big thing in the mornings. He's got stuff that he needs to do to prepare for his day. I have stuff that I do every night and every morning as well to set up my day for success, to raise my vibration. Like it's different for everybody. I guarantee Marcus's morning routine is not the same as my morning routine, but we got to find what works for us individually. So I've rambled a lot. I'm going to let you talk for a little bit, Marcus, and you could comment on some things I said, or you could go on your own. Talk about the money thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of give some deeper details on how this stuff all functions in our everyday human life on a multidimensional level, and as well as kind of visually explain and show you guys, just how our magnetism and how our electrical and energetic system works as a human being. And then I'll give you guys very nice detailed looks into the chakras, as well as how to really become aware of why, one of the most important elements of your attraction and manifestation is your temple. It's your vessel. It's, how clean, how light is your human vessel, whether it's mentally, emotionally, physically. Are your organs healthy? Are your glands healthy? Is your blood flowing properly? These things all contribute, and they're all tied in. So we're going to begin with this image here. And this image is a very well laid out image that shows a few different things. Some of those things we have showing basically how the movement and the flow of our energy and electromagnetic field flows through our human being. If you guys look over here at this colored image with the human body, the chakras, the rainbow colors going up and down the middle column. And as you can see, there's kind of like vortexes of energy coming out of the top of the head, as well as down below the feet. And then all around the human body, you can see that there's basically this egg shape. And this egg shape is your aura. This is your whole entire energy field. And then within that outer layer of the aura, there are many different layers, or what we call bodies, that make up our whole entire human being. So oftentimes we may think, or we may be taught to believe, that our human being is nothing but the physical body and that's it. But in actuality, and in a higher reality of what we actually are, we are multidimensional. We have a physical body, and we also have other subtle bodies as well that are all contained together that make up our human being. So the physical body is actually the most dense, the most lowest vibrational form of our human consciousness. So when we put that into perspective, and if we are programmed to only perceive and to only believe through a perspective of being just our lowest form of ourselves, or the most dense version of who we are as a human being, then we're going to put ourselves in the perspective and into the experienced reality of only being that lowest and dense form of ourselves. Therefore, we put our own self into a limited mindset, into a limited state of being, all due to our own free will of choice, consciously or unconsciously. If we're identifying only as Marcus, if we're identifying only as Mary Beth, and that is all we are and all that makes up our soul and who we are as a dimensional being of light, then we are going to limit ourselves and only experience through the lens of that illusion, that dense form of being. Now, there's different ways that you can perceive life out of your own free will. You can either perceive like that, just believing that, hey, I'm Marcus, I'm a pizza delivery driver, I live, I die, I go to heaven, I go to hell. That's it. And that's absolutely valid. It's all free will. Or you can choose to perceive in a way more so like, I am a soul, I am a spiritual being, I am part of the creator, I am part of creation that is experiencing a temporary experience through a human lens, through a human being, through a human avatar. And I am more than that avatar. I am the experiencer that is experiencing through the avatar. So when we shift to that type of perspective, then we're raising our own mental frequency into a perception of a higher vibration. Then we start to perceive and we start to go about life from a higher perspective due to, out of our own free will and mentalism, the law of mentalism, the first principle of the Kabbalion or the Hermetic principles for those esoterics out there. The first principle is the law of mentalism. Everything in the universe is mental. Everything in consciousness is of mental. So anything that we are experiencing is of the mental. It's of the mental vibration. This is why we're able to time travel. This is why we're able to astral project. This is why we're able to dream and then all of a sudden manifest those dreams, because we're mentally traveling to different dimensions. And then through those travels, we then mentally pick up on the information or the codes, and then we download those information and codes through our mind. And then through our mind, it filters into our emotions, which is the emotional body. and then it filters into our physical body, where we then start to sense and feel that information. Now, all this information, it's all here already. Everything is now. It's a quantum field, and we are just quantumly, energetically, through moments, connecting with time and space through different frequencies and octaves, and we're downloading it through our vessel. So that's what this diagram also shows you here if you look. If we go back to the colored image that I was speaking on a moment ago. So when we move through time and space here in this earth realm, we have this multidimensional being here, and we're carrying around this energy field, this toroidal electromagnetic field everywhere we go in every moment, including right now. And what happens is, due to being electrical and magnetic beings, is this electromagnetic field acts as a current of electrical energy. And this current of electrical energy naturally consumes, it naturally draws in, it naturally attracts and receives through magnetism other energy and information. So as we go through our experiences and we start to attract and accumulate the information and the energy of these experiences, it then comes into our energy field through magnetism, and then we start to process it through our senses. And through that processing, this is where discernment comes in. Are we discerning the information that's coming into our energy field? Are we really sitting with it before we're reacting or acting upon it? Or are we just impulsively and unconsciously reacting as soon as information comes into our field? And as we accumulate the information and accumulate the energy, depending on what we do with it, it can either integrate into our being and we consciously release what doesn't serve us, or it can become accumulated. We never do anything with it. We attach to it, and then it turns into density, which then starts forming disease and illness and misalignments throughout our being due to the density causing resistance. And that resistance starts blocking up the flow of our electromagnetic currency. It starts blocking the flow of our energy centers, being able to help our kundalini, being able to help our vitality to be able to be risen and be expressed through the world. So all this stuff ties in together. And one of the biggest components that I've really been emphasizing to people is, remembering that manifestation and attraction is it's not just about the outside world. It's not just about all these things and putting things in place and doing things. It's also about your temple and how clear and how activated you have your centers and your meridians, and your consciousness and chi is able to flow through your body, because that's where your natural conscious magnetism comes from. So, a big part of all of this is your diet, the things that you're consuming, the things that you're watching, the things that you're listening to. These are all being absorbed into your magnetic field. And that information gets programmed, it gets stored in the subconscious mind. And if we're not doing any subconscious reprogramming, we're not doing any pattern breaking, we're not doing any affirmations with actions, then we're more likely to have those things that we've been accumulating to stay in repeat, to stay in patterns and loops through our subconscious mind. And then through the subconscious mind, it can turn into cognitive distortions. It can turn into projections of false realities, as well as a lot of other things. So I want to go ahead and move over into the next image. And this image here, this image shows a little bit of the natural current, the natural flow of how our magnetism operates through the chakra centers. So as you can see, there is a balance and a weaving of the left and the right, the masculine and feminine. And as you can see, it also creates what we know as the infinity loop. So yeah, that goes to show you that we are the infinity loop right there. Literally, the human container is the infinity loop of heaven on earth, earth and heaven. It is the balance point, the bridge. So yes, each and every one of you are a bridge of heaven on earth through your being. Just being you. Your whole entire being is the bridge. There's nothing you even have to do but be you. So then I'm gonna move over into this next image. And I really like this one, especially with the color too. This image here is a great image of showing not only your electromagnetic field or your toroidal field, but it's also showing the geometry of the human being. As you can see at the bottom, you can see it's references many different names, but basically what it represents is the human being or the balance of above and below. And this is such a well demonstrated image of how the toroidal field functions. And this is what we're moving as every single day in our everyday life. And then depending upon how clear, how healthy, and how clean your chakras are, your meridians, your blood flow, your electrical system, and everything else is, this aura field can either expand to great lengths. When I say great lengths, I mean states, countries, the whole world. Your whole entire aura field can literally cover the whole world if you're that pure and that clean. Or, you know, if it's very blocked up, it's very toxic, and things of that nature, then that toroidal field can shrink in on itself. And when it shrinks in on itself, that's when we start to feel, you know, very dehydrated, very dull, very drained. And why is this? It's because our fluidity, our electrical current, isn't online properly. It's not giving the proper boost for our organs, our blood, and other things of our human being to be able to function and be working online. So then here, I know you were talking a little bit about focusing and chords. You know, this image is a really good image here of giving examples of the type of attachment styles that we can carry in very basic and everyday life. And let me enlarge this a little bit more. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
So what you can see here is a very great example of type of chords and attachments we can create with a loved one. So for example, this would be tied to the crown chakra. The example of I own you, or basically claiming dominance or claiming that you have ownership over another person or another being. That it can actually create a distortion. It can create a unhealthy attachment style because it's not the higher reality of the truth of what we're here as and what we're here to be. Nobody owns anybody. We are all sovereign beings that have our own individual unique blueprint, and we are sharing that in collaboration with each other out of our free will. Now, you can claim to own something or somebody, but then you'll just go through the experiences of what that is, which means you will have the attachment of the ups and downs, as well as the expectations, the letdowns, and all of these different things that are going to perpetuate through you due to taking on that imbalanced dualistic mindset. And then you have pay attention to me. So, taking away the other person's focus or taking away the other person's attention of, taking care of their self, prioritizing their well-being, doing the things that help them be their best version, but instead having them focus on you and making it about you only can create a very severe imbalance within a connection. And then that's another attachment style. So we can keep on going through those if we wanted to, but it's kind of pretty clear cut on how this happens. And what you tend to see is when we base life off of these type of expectations or controls, we end up setting ourselves up for, a lot of failures, a lot of struggles, a lot of pain that is just ultimately not even what we have to do when we really understand that we are free will beings as individuals that are sharing equally as two beings our energy in exchange with each other. And then of course you figure out your dynamics in your relationship personally. All right. And then last thing that I was going to go ahead and show is I'm going to draw on this whiteboard an example of how our energy cords work. So you have your human being, then you have your energy field, now, this energy field, it's continuously rotating. It's continuously cycling. I'll go ahead and draw the middle column as well. So it's continuously cycling. And the key is we want to be able to maintain this. We want to maintain the continuous fluidity and cycling of our electromagnetic field. How do we do that? We do that by self-care, maintenance, spiritual hygiene, and other things. Now, when we start to focus our energy through our mind or mentalism, we then start to guide and direct our electromagnetic energy into the direction of that focus. So then as we create more focus towards whatever that is, we then are guiding our energy to then attach to that. This is how attachments are created. And when we create this attachment, it can be to people, places, and things, because everything has an energy field. This is about attaching energetically, our energy field to another energy field. So when we create an attachment, this cord now gets created from our energy field. Now say this attachment is connected to a bunch of pills and a bottle of alcohol. That's my bottle right there.
Ooh, I'm glad you brought up alcohol too. I'm going to get into that in a minute when you're finished.
So say you have this attachment cord energetically. Keep in mind again that this is energetically, not physical. you have this energetic connection to this, you're now beginning to siphon out your own authentic energy to this outside source through this cord. Because as you remember, it's a continuous rotating in motion energy field. So with that being said, if something opens up in that energy field and then a cord gets created, then that momentum of energy, when it gets to that spot of rotation, is now going to start siphoning out through that cord, through natural movement. So as it goes through this cord, you then start to give that energy to those substances. So as you're giving your energy to those substances, number one, you begin to drain your own energy. And then in exchange, you're going to get in return the frequency and the authentic energy of those substances being returned through the cord into your energy field. So this is where discernment is super, super key when it comes to our attachments and what it is that we're focusing on. This is why we say, in our human clichés, if you don't want something to continue or you don't want more of something, then take your attention away from it. We say this for a reason. There's some realness behind that. Where you put your attention, the more you perpetuate and you add fuel to that energy field. Kind of like what Mary Beth said, we can either be happy about something or we can be judging it or constantly be negative about it. But either way, we're projecting and focusing our energy field to that item or to that thing. No matter if it's positive or negative, the energy is neutral. The energy is what it is. And if we're focusing it on that, we're creating a more deepening cord from this energy cord that we're forming. So when we're receiving back from something like these substances of very low vibration and frequencies, we receive back those same frequencies from the substance in exchange for our authentic Christ conscious energy that we're giving. So then what can happen is you can become very polluted, your vibration lowers, you can become possessed, you can start attracting entities and other things that are of that vibration due to your embodiment and the frequency that you're now embodied in your aura. So now I'll give you guys a little bit of contrast with this example. Say if the substances that you form an attachment with is a very temporary attachment for a one-time plant medicine ceremony. See, now that, on the other hand, you're taking in a plant medicine of a very high and pure vibration of nature while giving away your energy in exchange for the medicine properties of that. That's a whole nother ball game. Now you're going to receive in return the medicinal properties in the energy field of that spiritual medicine. But then the key is to not allow yourself to continue to have an attachment cord to that.
I'm glad you said that. There's a lot of people who get addicted to plant medicine. Like I'm seeing it left and right to where it's literally being abused and they can't see it. They can't see the addiction.
Yep, exactly. And that's more deeper things to touch on that we won't be touching on right now in this session. But yeah, so just keep in mind, like, it's not just like you can't have attachments or attachments are bad. No, we're gonna have attachments. We're human beings. We're meant to have attachments, but it's about what outlets, what resources are you attaching to? And are you being extremely out of balance with your attachment to where you're becoming codependent or narcissistic? Or are you just in a neutral attachment because you're just giving and receiving from a healthy place? It's a big difference. So, last example I want to give here is say you now create a attachment cord to a loved one. Now, this can go many different ways, of course, because there's all degree of frequency. But what can happen is if you have an extreme attachment to where you're constantly giving away your energy to this person and they're not giving back, or they're just taking from you, then what happens is you're continuously draining this energy out to them. They're receiving the empowerment of your authentic energy, and then they're just continuously consuming it. This is what you consider what you can call a vampiric-like energy, or a succubus-like energy. When you're just freely giving your energy, they're just freely taking it and consuming it, not giving anything back at all, no type of love, no type of care. And then this can also be in alignment with codependency. When we are extremely attached to somebody or something, it can start creating codependent dynamics of experience. Now, say you're giving this energy to a healthy partner that continuously likes to give their love to you and be of equal exchange, then it just continuously becomes a fluid rotation between each other of support. And then last thing is cord cutting. So when we cut these cords, and a lot of people I think have misconceptions of cord cutting. What comes to these spiritual myths is they get scared to cut cords because they believe it means that they're going to physically never see somebody. But that's not what it means. It means you're clearing and letting go of this right here, this energetic cord that has now become polluted and toxic with the energies of experience that is being passed back and forth between the two parties. So when you cut that cord, it then releases that motion between each other to then begin to free your guys' energy fields back up, heal, and return back to balance. Now, it's not a one-stop shop where you cut the cords and there's nothing to it. There could be residue, there could be holes, there could be leaks and tears, there can be wounds in your aura field depending upon the experiences that you've taken on through that attachment. So it requires self-care and maintenance after cord clearing to make sure that you're re-solidifying and really getting your energy field flowing properly again. So yeah, I'll leave off there for now. I know that was quite a bit to cover and share, but I just wanted to give you guys visual aid and give you the real holistic details of how this operates on a very basic level for us.
Right. It's not just woo woo. You're showing them this is real stuff. And I love that you brought up, the electromagnetic field, because our thoughts are electric, our feelings are magnetic. And that's where we have that mind body connection that we really, when it comes to attraction, when it comes to manifesting, we have to, there's going to be a wobble if you're saying one thing and feeling another. Like I said earlier, we really need to have that electromagnetic thing and, elevated feelings, with the thoughts that match. And that's when you're going to really be manifesting on fire. And I like that you brought up the alcohol, because today is my 5 years alcohol-free day. And I don't count the days. I
Oh,
didn't do AA, but it's my friend's birthday. My twins, they're twins, and Christy and Kelly. Hey, I actually quit on their birthday, so it's easy for me to remember, and I just count the years. I'm not in that old vibration anymore. I changed my identity completely. I am no longer a person who drinks alcohol. It's no longer an option. And I can tell you guys, the higher I raised my vibration, the more work I did, as, with myself, the more work I did on myself, alcohol kind of left me. I started to feel like it was giving me all of these physical issues like that it hadn't before. And, I wasn't like drinking, vodka in the morning or anything like that. It was just, I would have red wine at night. It's very socially acceptable, for people to do that. I didn't have a rock bottom. Literally, the more you raise your vibration, since like Marcus said earlier, alcohol is a lower vibrational substance, you become no longer a match. And this has happened to so many people I know. Like the addiction's going to leave you because you do not match it anymore. It will start showing up physically in your body and in ways that become intolerable. My vibration was too high for it, and it was no longer a physical match. So that's something that I teach in my coaching is helping people to raise their vibrations. And these addictions just no longer are a match for you anymore when you do that. And it's tricky. What if you're still have those cords connected, like Marcus was showing you? It does get tricky, but you can do it. Like I drank every day, most days, not every single day, but most days for 30 years. I would have my red wine, and that was my vice. Literally messes me up physically for at least 48 hours. 48 hours, that's, yeah, for sure. And then what do we do sometimes? Okay, well, I don't feel good, so hair of the dog that bit me. There's a lot, then you have more to take care of the hangover or whatever. You have some morning beer. People do that without even thinking twice about it. Or you go to brunch, you have your mimosas. Thanks, Sarah. Hello. And yeah, definitely it's one of those things. Sarah, I got to ask you, Sarah, are you still not drinking? She wasn't drinking for a long time. I want to know if she's still off of it. But yeah, so basically, like you said earlier too, about the discernment, and it's so important. And that's something that we gain that wisdom as we grow. That's something that we are not born with. And it's something we kind of learn the hard way, in my experience anyway, is being around the wrong people, right? Not realizing they're toxic. Like I know I was very trusting of everybody. I thought, well, I'm a nice person. I just thought everyone else was nice too. Guess what?
mhm.
They're not. That's how I learned discernment, was by being burned so many times. But and also like it's just one of those things with that when we don't work on ourselves, when we don't pay attention, when we aren't mindful, and we have these cords, there's always going to be a block, a resistance, a block where we aren't manifesting properly. And that's kind of what this podcast is all about, is helping you guys realize, where are my negative thought loops, my subconscious programming? What can I switch? What do I need to be more mindful of in order to start finally attracting the life that I desire? Because we are always manifesting. Which one are you going to do? Are you going to manifest what you want? Or are you going to continue on repeat with your negative thought loops, the same thoughts from yesterday, same shit, different day? That's what people do. And I think it's 95%. That's the latest numbers I've heard from neuroscientists. 95% of our freaking thoughts are the same stuff from the day before, the day before, the day before. Autopilot programming, nobody changes anything, and then they wonder why their life doesn't change. That's why your life's not changing. You've got to do something different. Start paying attention.
Yeah.
And honestly, I hired coaches back when I was trying to learn. I hired, hiring a coach is taking a quantum leap, instead of these baby steps. And I wish I had hired a coach earlier. That having such a great experience has made me want to be a life coach, like, because I was like, wow, this is life changing. And you could do a lot of things on your own, but if you really want to get to that point where you take that quantum leap and learn a lot of stuff from someone who's been there, done that for years and years and years, just get help. There is no shame in asking for help, and it's wonderful. What are you pointing at?
Pointing at you and me. Ask us for help.
You and me. Ask us for help. Yeah.
This is what we do. It's our living.
Right. And we both have struggled with addiction, Marcus and I both, and we both came out on the other side. And it almost feels mandatory. Like once you heal yourself, like we have to help others come out of it, right? And let's get into money real quick, because there is this thing in the spiritual community where it's like, oh, well, you should just help people for free. Well, if we help people for free all the time, it's a thing.
Boy.
It's a thing. It's a thing, right? And the thing is, why is it okay? I'm from the corporate world. My background's corporate. And why is it okay for me to get paid pushing paperwork around and doing all that crappy corporate stuff that I was doing before? Why is that okay? But it's not okay for us to get paid to help people. Like money is an energy. We are exchanging our time for money, and so that we could help more people. Because if I'm sitting at an office all day to pay my bills, I can't help anybody. I'm stuck in an office in a cubicle. I'm not going back to cubicle world. I want to help as many people as I can. And that requires me be able to have the time, which time and money exchange is okay. And we are meant to be abundant. Yeshua said it. We are meant to be abundant. We are not meant to be, we can really help people more when we have the ability, that gives us the time. And that's really what abundance is to me, is time and freedom. That's how I define abundance, is having that freedom where I can do what I want and need to do, which for me is serving others. But I can't do that if I don't charge for it. So I'll let you take it on.
People gotta think like, okay, so if somebody is wanting, or you want somebody to be able to provide more spaces, provide more opportunities, and be able to create different ways and different opportunities for you to be able to access, healing in a specific way, as in like a retreat or an event or a space that requires that host to take money out of their own pocket and set up, getting you food for when you're there, paying for the venue, paying for facilitators, paying for musicians, paying for workshops, paying for all these different things. And quite frankly, if you believe that person is just supposed to give it all to you for free, then that's a freeloader mentality. And you may need to take a look at yourself. Mm-hmm. And I'd say that out of nothing but love. You may really have to take a look at yourself. Are you freeloading off of communities? Are you freeloading off the back of others that are dedicating and devoting and putting blood, sweat, and tears into their work to be able to provide these opportunities for others? And just think about that, in a very neutral and graceful way with yourself. Yeah. And know that it's not about this or that. Everything has a place in this creation. We're meant to experience everything. And money, I'm sorry for you guys to say it, I'm not sorry at the same time, but we're in a money matrix system. And it's designed and made to be that way for a reason. We all created this earth together to be this way in our experience. And the more that we accept what is and continue to build focused on solutions and expansion and growth, then we're not going to sit here and hold on to that and attach to it so much, because we're just going to continue to grow with it. We're going to find harmony with it because we realize that it's part of our consciousness, it's part of the experience, and it brings value to this third dimensional reality that we're in. There's third dimensional things that we are a part of when we're in a 3D body and in a 3D life. And I think it's become very difficult for a lot of higher minded, starseed like individuals, because they're not exactly too used to a third dimensional living, so to say, third dimensional body. And I can see where that can maybe be a little, I guess, confusing in a way for those that may not be grounded into their physical human life. And you know, it's really interesting to see the judgment that will come from it.
A lot.
You know, the judgment of, you know, judging those that charge for their services, judging those that charge money for tickets for stuff. And you know, I just invite you again to take a look at yourself if that's where you're at.
You got to keep the money flowing, you guys. Like, the more money that, when you spend money, it keeps it flowing. Like, money is energy. So holding on too tight to your money is actually a block for gaining more abundance. It really, really is. Like, and even when you pay your bills, like, not even talking about us or spiritual thing, when you pay your bills and you have this like, ugh, like, I have to pay this, you know, attitude, like, you're mad about it. That's not good. You're going to block energy. Yeah, true. But you're going to block money from coming in, flowing in from other avenues. Like, when I pay a bill, you know, I'm like, I'm so grateful that I have, you know, electricity, you know, or I'm like, I don't write checks. Actually, everything comes out automatically, but I get alerts, you know, and instead of getting upset about it, and I'll catch myself every now and then. I'll be pissed, like, because my energy bill is pretty high. Do get energy. But so it you know, I catch myself be like, no, I'm so grateful. Like, what is the alternative? I don't have electricity. Geez, you know, thank you for that. And so kind of try to have a more like grateful, appreciative thing when we're paying a bill. And I always like to think too, if it's a small business, like, I try to support small businesses. It's expensive, right? It's expensive for Marcus and I to run our business. And so I know this. And when I support other businesses, I think about how they're going to notice it. They're going to notice it more because, you know, it's going directly to them. These big corporations, they don't know what you're buying at their store. Support the small businesses and think about, they're what, and make it up in your imagination. Like, they're able to now pay for their daughter's gymnastics, or, you know, whatever it might be. Just when you're paying for something, just really think about the ripple effect it's having, and buy stuff from people who you like and who you need. We don't need to buy everything on Amazon. Or Walmart, or wherever these big corporations, they don't care about you. Support small business is what I'm saying. Support spiritual
Absolutely. And like, you know, and respect yourself too. Like, know that you're worthy of having money. Like, know that you're worthy of experiencing luxurious things in this temporary human life that you only get once in this whole body.
Invest in yourself.
It's okay to experience
invest in yourself, right? People don't want to invest in themselves anymore. It's like they feel guilty or something. But when you take care of yourself, you're going to take care of everyone in your life more. Your parents, your family, your kids, of course, your spouse. It's your friends even. Like, when you actually invest in yourself and be like, you know what, I'm going to do this for me, it changes your life, and you have more to give. You have more to give. when you take care of yourself first. So it's not selfish. That's another spiritual myth. It is not, self-care is not selfish. It is the number one thing you need to do so that you're better at helping others at the end of the day. That's my number one thing. I'm not going to be a great mom to my son if I don't take care of myself first. So that's what I do. He's second. Really.
That's right.
He gets a better mom that way.
And and just keep in mind too that just be wary of what you're separating. As in, be wary of separating these things from you. Like money. Like, try not to see money as some separate foreign thing from you. As in, if you remember and if you know, and you're someone that lives by everything being connected, everything being of God, or everything being of source, then how is it that money can be bad for you if it's an extension of our consciousness and is connected to the all?
It's just a tool. Like, think of it like that. Like, money is a tool that we use, that we've all made a decision, an agreement to use in exchange, to exchange things. And, you know, it's, money can be used for evil things for sure, but in and of itself, it's not evil. It's neutral. And we decide, you know, like I could donate my money to a charity, or I could spend it to, you know, hey, pay
Strip
someone to
club.
kill somebody. I could pay someone to, would you say strip club? I could pay someone to kill somebody for me. You know, like, I wouldn't obviously not do that, but it could happen.
Yeah.
Like, money can be used, but it's your intention behind it. What are you using it for? Money itself can be used for beautiful things. And anything, if you think of it as evil, that's a horrible limiting belief that's only going to block money from flowing to you. So you got to get that out of your head.
Yep.
Money is not bad. Money is good. It's good to spend. The more you spend, I mean, you know, don't spend beyond your means. Don't be like, oh, well, Mary Beth
Responsibly.
yeah, Mary Beth said I should just spend more money and it'll come flowing in. We remember, we need to take action too, not sit on a meditation cushion all day waiting for money to flow in. That is not how it works. We got to take action. So yeah, but to keep things flowing, the more we hold on to something, that's another law of attraction thing. The more we try to hold on something to something, the more we push it away. Just think about it with relationships. I'm sure y'all have had somebody, you know, chasing you a little too hard, and then you feel like, suffocate, you know, they're trying to hold on to you too hard, and it gets controlling. And what do you want to do? You just want to get away from them. You know, it's the same thing. Like, the more you hold on to something, it's trying to get away from you, including money. So let it flow, let it go, release it, and let go of the limiting beliefs that it's not going to come back to you, because it will. It will. It's hard to believe that before you have evidence. You know, I get it, but try it.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, believe it or not, out there for you guys, like, you know, if we're in a state where we're demonizing money, we're judging people that are making money, we're trying to put people in boxes about spiritual or not spiritual because of money, then you got to keep in mind that that's coming from a place of scarcity. It's coming from a place of lack, because we're not seeing the wholeness of it. We're not seeing the connection of it all. We're not seeing that it has its own place, that it has a perfect place for people in their lives and in their lives, and just allowing it to be what it is. So got to keep in mind, like, are you coming from a poverty mindset? Are you coming from a scarce mindset, or a fear mindset surrounding money?
Or
and that's why you're judging it.
Hater. Like, if you're a hater, you are going to push money away from you. If you look at somebody with money and what they have, and I have a trick for you, but you want to look at them with admiration and respect. That is how you're going to, like, wow, you know, like, I really admire that they were able to create that abundance for themselves. And a little law of attraction, I've done a video on this before, but when I see somebody who has, like, major abundance, I don't hate them at all. I just say, that's for me. That's for me. that's for me. And I admire it. I respect it. I love it. And that's going to put you in that same frequency.
What did they do to get there?
Yeah, you want to find out. They weren't haters. I guarantee they weren't haters. You can't attract.
Keep in mind too, like, and keep in mind too, like, if you're someone that, and I've been in this boat too, especially in the last couple of years with moving into independency, is you know, if you're in the boat where you are, you know, struggling, you're working paycheck to paycheck, 9 to 5, and you want to be someone that's just of service and you want to live your spiritual life and everything like that, but then you're just continuing to neglect charging people for your services and stuff like that. But your goal and your whole vision intention is to not work that 9 to 5 anymore, so you can be of service full time for the collective. But your actions are not aligning with that due to you staying where you're at and demonizing your growth, demonizing your expansion. If you're tired of working a 9 to 5 and you're not taking the opportunity when the universe gives you the opportunity to use your services as your financial revenue, then what good are you really doing in taking the steps towards that goal by staying in the same position that you're in and just making it a hamster wheel, basically? You got to keep in mind, like, in order to get somewhere else, or in order to get where you want to go, you have to let go of what is not getting you there. You got to let go of what got you to where you are now, but is not going to get you to that next level. And that may require taking more action in charging for your services so that you do not have to work a 9 to 5 anymore. And then you can take yourself out of that perpetual cycle of bitching and moaning and complaining. Oh, the system this, my job this, I'm so tired of the 9 to 5, but I'm not out here charging for my services because I'm just freely giving it away and not actually investing towards my goal and vision. So just really think about these things that we may not think outside of ourselves about in our daily life. Because I hear a lot of people, you know, very loving and very beautiful people, really wanting to serve time, not work a 9 to 5 job, but are scared to charge for their services. So it's keeping them in the same looping cycle over and over, to where, you know, they're complaining, they're projecting onto their job, they're now mad at the job that they're at the job, they're mad at the government and all this stuff. But what are you doing to change that? That's
it's a
the
form
thing.
of it's self-betrayal. Wouldn't you agree, Marcus? It's you're betraying yourself, and just kind of treat yourself the way that you would, like, would you want your child to do that? Would you want your, you know what I mean? That's a good way to ask yourself, or your someone that you love. Treat yourself as good as your best friend, at least, and give yourself the same advice you would give your best friend. And it really is spiritual to lift yourself up. It really is. Like, and I think a lot of people think it's more spiritual, like, oh, I'll just stay humble and give and never take anything. And that's, you know, what about yourself? I don't understand. You know, it's a limiting belief. It's a limiting belief. It's a limiting belief. Got to get rid of it, because as long as you keep those limiting beliefs, you're going to always be resisting what you really want in life.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep. So yeah, just keep in mind, like, you know, if you are someone that is wanting to do these things, and then also at the same time, you know, complaining about the job that you have and complaining about the government suppressing you and all this stuff, just keep in mind and just, like, take a look at yourself real quick. Like, Are you, out of your own accountability and responsibilities, taking the actions and taking the steps towards your goal and your vision? Or are you just complaining, staying stagnant, and not doing anything about it with the sovereign I am power that you're birthed with? And
And we've all
judging
been
others
there.
and like all this other stuff because, yeah.
We've all been there, and I was definitely 100%, like, no one's shaming you. I was in the victim mentality, like, you know, just feeling like the world was against me and holding me down. And really, it's not, it takes a lot of work to get out of it. That's what our coaching's about, is getting people back into their power and not blaming your outside circumstances, because every single one of us has the power to get themselves out of that and out of the victim role. And
Mm-hmm.
it really is. My brother had texted me that he asked a question. I didn't see one pop up. I wonder if he asked in the wrong place. Michael Dukes, did you see a question? Maybe earlier, like the beginning of the show? I just saw his text.
Oh, here it is.
There you go. I let other people's energy disrupt my presence and positive intentions. Hard to shield it for me. I'm very sensitive to what other people are dealing with. Maybe I'm judging them. What do you think, Marcus? Since I know him, he's my brother. That's how he looked when he was little.
Oh, okay.
And that's his.
Welcome, brother. Good to see you. So I'm a very sensitive empath. When I say very sensitive, like, man, someone could literally just say something and it could just trigger my mental thought process into second guessing myself, like that type of sensitive. And with that, I had to learn boundaries. I had to learn how to fortify my energy field. Part of that is grounding. Grounding yourself. Getting yourself grounded daily helps fortify your protection of your energy field. The more grounded you are, the more stable you are. The more stable you are, the more energy is not able to distort and disrupt your energy, because you're stabilized. When you're stabilized, the energies that come by you or come through you, they're able to pass through more gently, more fluidly. Now, if we're ungrounded and we're in a very open space to where we're too open energetically, then we're just unconsciously absorbing energy without wanting to. Then we can continue to build up those energies, and those can turn into thought patterns, emotions that aren't ours, and other things that we can then carry into our field. So my biggest thing for me has been grounding. Getting up in the rising, first thing I do when I get up out of bed is, for me personally, is I do a chakra balance meditation. And then after that, I do some yoga. And what that does is it stabilizes my energy field. It grounds it, and it also awakens and activates it. So then I'm grounded in my security and stability. And I'm also present within my heart. And then I'm also activated and connected to higher connection. And through that, I then go through my everyday. I make it a priority to make sure I do these right routines before I start the day. So then I'm not unconsciously absorbing energies. I'm not leaking my energy out to sources that I don't want to. And I'm not feeling tired and drained throughout the day due to this fortification. Now, also, another thing is mental counseling. When I say mental counseling, is knowing how to counsel your own self mentally, which is basically just talking to yourself. So when you have an experience and your sensitivity gets triggered, it's having that ability to step forward in your mind and consciously start redirecting those thoughts, consciously start redirecting what's being told. And with that, sometimes it can be humor, it can be messing around with your own self, It could be kind of acting childish about it. I like to play around like that with myself mentally. So, like if I get triggered about something or something arises, what I'll do is just kind of play around and just be like, what? Like, you're really stressing about this? Like, you're really taking this serious? Like, it's all good. You're all right. Like, just lightening up things like you would with your child or something. Treat yourself that way. Treat your mind like your own child. How you would treat your child if your child was stressed out or if your child was going through something. So, those are some ways that I'll give you.
I love that you brought
there's so
that
many
up.
other things I can say too.
Yeah. I love you brought up fun.
Those are my main ways.
That's so important, to lighten things up and the fun. And that's another little law of attraction tip for anybody watching is make everything a game. That helps with the lightening up. Like I do that every day. What can I get away with today? Like, let's see, like I make things a game and make things fun. And then it just really takes away any type of anxiety when you're like, it's not that serious. It is not that serious, guys. Life in general, like it really, let's make it a game and start your morning out every morning, every rising. Like, what can I get away with today? What kind of fun can I get into? And it really lightens your whole energy, which is so important because that fun energy will attract more fun. And that's what we want. We all want that. So put it out there. So
too. Let me I have one more thing too to share for your brother. And the last thing I wanted to share that just came up for your brother was so when you go through an experience and then it triggers you or brings you into that sensitivity, try to find outlets where you can start focusing on those outlets. So when I say that, I mean it's like something's bothering you, try to start doing something that you're passionate about. Try to start doing something that you love to do. Try to start focusing and doing something that uplifts you, that brings the positivity out of you. And then allow that to kind of be like your alchemy and your transmutation, to where instead of dwelling and focusing on that thing that is lowering us, let's just go ahead and start doing something that's going to get us in action, start building positive momentum, and start giving our attention to something good for ourselves. Whether it's something that we love to do, something we're passionate about, something that uplifts us, somebody that brings us positivity, just redirecting that focus, you can then take that energy and then transmute it into whatever it is that you're putting your energy into. Working out even, stuff like that.
Working out. And for me, doing something to help someone else would always pull me out of it. Serving others in some way, getting out of your own head. Yeah, because I definitely, and like I said, he's my brother, so he comes by it honestly. We had a full Italian mom, and it was kind of like worrying and anxiety meant you care. And that's how we were brought up, right? And so it's been a lifelong journey trying to get to the point where, that not overthinking and the negative thinking and the worry, that's not a good thing. I call worry negative prayer. Like it's attracting it. Like I'm praying for something, so just stay in the moment. Don't think about the past. It's already happened. We can't change it. And we worry about the future. I mean, all we have is now. That's where all of our power is. We know that.
Yep. Wow. I don't know about you, but I think this sounds like a pretty good place to kind of leave off for this episode at an hour and a half.
Yeah, we really, that went by fast.
Yeah, we were flowing.
I'm about to go meet my brother for brunch. So I will make sure that he gets to listen to your answer, because I think he was on earlier, and that was a really great response.
Oh, sweet. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate the questions. Thank you to all of you guys that have asked questions, shared your views and experiences on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you guys for being here and supporting. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Sacred Light Healing and Wellness. And then Mary Beth actually has a YouTube channel as well, Day One Life Coaching, I believe. Is that correct?
It's called the Spiritual Transformation Podcast with Mary Beth.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely link that in. And then you guys can follow us on any of these platforms as well, Facebook, Instagram. Reach out to us with questions, or if you guys want to book services, we both offer our own things that help you guys with being able to self-empower. And yeah, we'll be back soon with you guys.
Bye.
Any final words for you, Mary Beth? You got anything coming up or anything you want people to know about?
Well, I do have some open spots for one-on-one coaching right now. So if anyone would like to, I do a free discovery call. So if you want to do a free discovery call, that's just about 15 minutes and over Zoom. And that's where you kind of give me an idea of what you're looking for. And a lot of people that come to me, there's either like, sometimes it's just like they want to grow their career. They feel stuck in some way. They've got some sort of self-destructive habits, like alcohol or food addiction is a big one. Also relationship addictions. I'm getting a lot of people that are stuck in kind of this toxic relationship cycle. I help people just with happiness, just getting back, to themselves with happiness, like they lost themselves along the way. Marriage, divorce, all the things. Optimal fitness is another big one that I help people with. So, I'm a spiritual life coach, so it's going to be more spiritual. So if you're not into the spiritual stuff, I'm probably not the right match for you. But if you're into like law of attraction and holistic healing, which means mind, body, and spirit all together, we get to the root cause of the problem, and we find your solutions. So that is what I do. And then I also have a deck of cards that are called Addiction Recovery with the Law of Attraction. And those you can get on my website, day1lifecoaching.com. But I think you're going to put my link tree under this video, and my link tree has all the things in it.
Yeah, it's already down there.
Yeah, but I've got my those deck of cards. If you are watching this, you can go ahead and use coupon code TRANSFORM, and I believe that's $10 off of the cards. So, and I also have some essential oils that are meant to raise your vibration. So you could also get $10 off of those products as well. So that's it. That's really all I've got going on right now. Thanks for asking.
Awesome. And yep, those are all linked down below in the description for you guys. And then you guys can always reach out to me as well. I offer Reiki, crystal healing, chakra balancing, inner child healing, subconscious reprogramming, light language, oracle readings. I also do Akashic Records, soul origin meditations to help you guys figure out your higher self, your soul origin. And I also do life guidance, weekly based, where we help restructure your daily patterns and habits, as well as your shadow work integration. And then I also do custom guided meditations. So if you're someone that likes guided meditations, I do create professional quality meditation audios that you get to customize yourself. For example, say you like a certain frequency, then I can use that frequency. I can use a certain spirit guide that you like to connect with, and a certain environment to guide you through the meditation. So those are all offered by me as well. And then I do have an online workshop that's free donation based coming up on the 14th. And it's for the third eye chakra. So if you guys are interested in learning about the third eye chakra and how to identify blocks and overactivations in it, as well as receive a third eye chakra meditation, that's going to be on the 14th at 7 p.m. Eastern. You guys can just direct message me for the link, or you can go to sacredlight33.as.me and book there. And then last thing I have is that I'm starting to open up retreats nationwide, different states, soon to be worldwide. And got a retreat coming up in Ohio on October 26th. And then I have a multi-day retreat coming up in South Carolina, November 8th weekend. So that's what's coming up for me. And of course, you guys can just kind of stay in touch and see when I'm live. I go live multiple days a week, typically Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. And I talk about chakras and esoterics and other things of that nature.
Awesome.
Well, Mary Beth, thank you for being here for our second episode. This was a beautiful episode, and I'm sure there's so much wealth of knowledge for people to digest as they move forward. So thank you.
Probably got to watch this one a few times. We gave a lot of info. Put it on repeat.
Yeah, I look forward to watching this tomorrow.
Well, thank you, Marcus, for inviting me. I appreciate it. It was fun.
Absolutely. Everybody have a beautiful day. Have a blessed Sunday. Wholeness.